Wrestling fans, welcome to part 3 of MWF CARES Day. It's now MWF CARES night. I'm Dan Marotti. We had a technical glitch and it extended our auctions to 10:30 p.m. Those have now expired, but all the great t-shirts at low prices, starting at just $5, are still on sale, as well as the Kamala Studio Shoot Interview DVD. You can get it for only $10. 100% of the proceeds will go to the Ugandan giant Kamala. We wanted to send out a few shout-outs, thank yous, before we get to our next guest tonight. We're talking about Hall of Famer, one of the greatest athletes to ever step into the squared circle. We're talking about Shawn Michaels. Shawn, thank you for tweeting about MWF CARES Day. MWF original, multi-time MWF Tag Team Champion, the one and only Road Dogg, was talking about it. What about the First Lady of the MWF, the lovely Velvet Sky? You talk about a knockout. Take a look at her in some of those pictures, including the Freddy Krueger one. You'll get knocked out and never get up again. That's a different story for a different time. Thank you for even tweeting about it tonight. Jackson Blue of Kiss 108, always a big friend of the Millennium Wrestling Federation. Hardcore legend Mick Foley, former Boston Red Sox right fielder, now with the Oakland Athletics. Josh Reddick. Josh, we wish we had your production this year. That's a different story for a different time as well. A couple of more athletes we've seen here in the MWF before. The one and only Goldust. Former MWF Heavyweight Champion Shelton Benjamin. Dave Scheer of PWInsider.com. Tonight, they're having great coverage of WWE Money in the Bank. MWF Superstars Jay Freddy, Slick Wagner Brown, Fiorio Falcone, Vinny Marseglia, all tweeting about MWF CARES Day. The wild and crazy Al Snow, who we'll be seeing Saturday, September the 22nd in Melrose, a good friend of MWF Goodwill Ambassador Quincy. Good old JR himself, Jim Ross. TNA X Division Champion Zema Ion. Bobby Ocean. MWF official Dan Tanaka. Formerly of WWE, now with ESPN, Jonathan Coachman was tweeting about it. We didn't get much out of the Hulkster, but we have to send out a big-time thank you to Linda Hogan. Linda, thank you for having a big heart of the Hogan clan. If that wasn't enough, what about Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins? Had a chance to meet Billy back at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion in Las Vegas earlier this year. Big-time wrestling fan, great guy. Thank you so much for trying to spread the word about what we're doing tonight. And more than anything, thank you to all of the great fans that tweeted, posted messages about this, especially on Twitter, tried to send an individual thank you to everybody, but it was just impossible as it's hard to keep up with the different timelines and threads. But to every fan that took the time to send a message out about what we were doing at MWF CARES Day, like I had said many times, I understand that not everybody can contribute financially. It's just the nature of the beast in 2012. But it does not take more than 2 seconds to hit retweet or post a link. That's why I've been so disgusted with so many superstars that chose to ignore what we were doing for Kamala. Never mind the other nonprofit organizations we're trying to help tonight. There are so many athletes that could find themselves exactly in Kamala's predicament, that could need a helping hand. It happens. And for them to just ignore what's going on, I find it absolutely disgusting. I don't know what their reasoning is. I guess that's their own business, but I have my own personal opinion about it, and I find it repulsive. Anyway, different story for different time. Fans, we're going to take a very brief pause, and we're going to be back with 2012 Hall of Famer Ron Simmons. Wrestling fans, MWF CARES Day continues. What a night it has been. We've already spoke to Big Daddy V. Viscera. We spoke to the president of the Millennium Wrestling Federation, Paul Bear. Now, almost no introduction is needed. You could use one four-letter word, or you could describe him as 2012 WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons. Farouk, one of the huge stars of the WWE Attitude Era, the first African-American world champion from WCW in the 90s. Ron, thank you so much for joining us on this special night as we continue to try and give back to the community.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be on.
Ron, you are one of the all-time greats in this sport, a tremendous, outstanding college football career, one of less than a handful of people that have had their number retired at Florida State. Your career in professional wrestling speaks for itself. Ron, we got to ask you, tonight, as I already mentioned, we're trying to help Kamala, who had both of his legs amputated, and because of the sleaze that goes on with insurance companies, they'll only pay for a replacement left leg, but not a right leg. Also, Make-A-Wish, Big Brothers, Cauliflower Alley Club, your good friend John Layfield's Beyond Rugby Bermuda. All around, it's a great night. We're not just trying to ask fans to donate money, but thanks to our friends from WWE, we have tons of prizes you can buy and bid on. We have authentic T-shirts, autographed items, pay-per-view chairs. It's just, the wrestling community can do so much good, and there's so many people that aren't fans that look down upon what we do.
Well, you know, it's one thing that we as wrestlers go out night in and day out and entertain our fans, you know. But it's another when one is down, because I firsthand know what we have to go through and what it takes to be a professional wrestler. And when something like this, a tragedy hits one of us, it like it strikes all of us. And as in the past, the wrestling community has gathered and come together for me when I needed it. And I'm sure at this point that and Kamala's career that they're going to come together and do the same as they've done in the past.
Well, I know our friends at the Cauliflower Alley Club, they have tried to reach out and help Kamala. Myself and others have reached out to WWE to let them know what's going on with Kamala. You know, if you just take the wrestling aspect out of it, this is a man that is a human being. He spent years on the road as a professional wrestler. Then he became a truck driver after that. To have not one but both legs amputated, then be told by an insurance company that they won't pay for his replacement right leg. I mean, the man, he can't walk. He's confined to a wheelchair. He can't drive. He needs to have some kind of a special something compatible put on the car so he can twist it with his hands. He can't drive a truck anymore. He has no financial income. I mean, something needs to be done for him as a human being. I think he deserves the respect to be able to walk and be a productive human being.
Of course he does, and everyone deserves that. And it just and then insurance companies, I mean, all over, you know, man, it should be ashamed. I mean, we as people pay into the insurance companies for when tragic and times like this come upon us, that we should reach out to them, and it shouldn't be any hesitation. I mean, this is without a doubt one of the most sad cases I've ever seen of an insurance company not living up to what we're paying to them for and have this done. This is an outrage. Everyone should be upset behind this, you know?
You know, how does it make Kamala feel? I know we've already done an interview with him, but he has a replacement left leg sitting in a box in his den, but they won't pay to have a right one made for him. I mean, emotionally, I mean, I've been through my wars with the insurance company myself, as my health issues have been well documented. But for him to think day in and day out, if I just had a replacement right leg, I could drive a car again. I could be out working again. I could.
And that's the thing of it is this: he's not asking for you to continue to do it. He's asking for help to get back, so say, on his feet to where he can help himself. This is what is an outrage, man. You know, and you just—it's so unbelievable that you really do find it unbelievable and hard to believe. You know, it really is a terrible, terrible, you know, case when it comes to dealing with the insurance company. Everyone should be outraged at this. We cannot imagine what he must be going through at this point, and still a viable person to the workforce and wanting to get back and give back and help himself. This is what really angers me.
It's not just a physical thing for him, you know, it's an emotional thing that goes along with it. He's not asking for a handout. He wants to go back to work and be productive. He wants to.
Absolutely.
He wants to.
It's terrible, man. It really is. I can't believe it. And like you say, we all have had our battles with the insurance company, but it doesn't hold a candle to what he must be going through at this point in his life. We cannot even imagine. You know, It's terrible.
You know, you and I can sit here and talk about it, and I think that's very productive. But what's really sad is that this is what Kamala James Harris has to live with 24/7, 365 days a year right now. And it's something, you know, if you take, like I said, again, take the wrestling aspect out of it. I was so moved when he was on the show and explained his story to me that I said, this is not going to be a situation where we say, this is sad to hear. We hope you get better soon. This is something in the Millennium Wrestling Federation, whether it be tonight on MWF CARES Day, whether it be at the big event you're coming into in September, we're going to continue to do everything we can to try and raise awareness and to try and do what we can with items to auction off or raffle off to fans to try and help Kamala financially as well. He needs it.
And not only that, Dan, this should be something that everyone should take notice of, because as human beings, anything at any point can happen to us at any time. And this is something that everyone should take notice of, because none of us are without it happening to us. You know, this is something that affects us all.
Well, I was 24 years old, almost broke my neck, and was confined to a bed for 13 months. So I know exactly what these scumbags do. They try and make a profit off of our declining health, which I think is sickening, and they're in the pocket of everyone in Washington. But that is a different story for a different time.
It's awful, you know, and like I said, man, it touches me because he is in, as we like to put it, he's in my family. He's one of the family, man, because I know what we have to go through, and I know what we've gone through. And then for something like this to happen and have so many years of life left in him and to be held back by something with the insurance company, it really is unspeakable.
You know, we did a 3-hour documentary interview with James right here in our studio. If you know, James has been a friend of ours going back to the early 2000s. But, you know, it was difficult of a transition enough to go from being on the road just about, 250, 300 days a year for some of the top guys, to go into a profession where he was a truck driver, where people, he said, sometimes would even almost laugh at him, asking him if he was Kamala and asking him why he was now driving a truck, thinking he was making, $5-10 million a year like some of the top athletes. That was a difficult enough transition, and now the man doesn't even have legs that he can use to put down and drive that truck.
Well, of course, and I think what happens with society is the illusion of TV. So give that off, that everyone that appears on TV is making millions of dollars, which is not the case. I mean, we go through enough in this profession as we do, and if you're lucky enough, you make a living doing it. It doesn't speak to where it says that you'll make enough to have enough to sustain you after professional wrestling. That doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen in a lot of sports, not only in professional wrestling, that like to speak. But that is not what we're dealing with at this point. We need to help and get this guy back on his feet, and we need to get back to getting on the insurance companies. We need to do whatever it takes, man, to get him back, standing up as a man and feeling like a man.
He is going to feel like a man. Like I said, Ron, it is something that I have given my word to Kamala, not only as a friend, but as a man, that we are going to do everything we can to raise awareness and money about this until he is able to be walking and be a mobile, active human being again, so he has that feeling of self-worth again, instead of sitting around in that wheelchair looking at a left leg sitting in his den, knowing that all he needs is one piece to stick on his right leg and he can do it again.
Terrible. I can't even, I really can't imagine, man. I really can't. I just can't speak on it enough.
Well, it's so great to have so many great friends in WWE. They've provided us with so much for our event here tonight. We're not asking fans just to give us a handout. We have so many great WWE T-shirts, pay-per-view chairs, autographed items that they've given us. You know the tremendous amount of charity work that WWE does. They've been a great help to us tonight. I'm sure they will be again for our event in September, the Big Bang Birthday Bash, where you'll be joining us along with Viscera, Paul Bear, Al Snow, the new TNA X Division champion, Zema Ion. But even tonight, beyond trying to help Kamala, originally this event was just intended to try and help out some of the regular charities we work with. Make-A-Wish, I'm sure you've done a lot with them over the years. Special Olympics.
Yes, I have, and that's always been a big part. I've always loved doing the Make-A-Wish Foundation, And you spoke of WWE doing this part. They've been there for a lot of the guys in the past, and I'm sure they will continue to be there for Kamala as they have been for me. and so many other guys. But this is something that reaches far beyond them. It reaches out to the millions of the WWE fans, that have been there and throughout Kamala's career and mine and everyone else that has enjoyed him throughout the years. This is their time to let him know.
Absolutely. And the Special Olympics, we're going to try and do something to help them out tonight. They've named us Special Olympic partners the past 2 years, which is great. Big Brothers, there are so many kids out there that could use a positive male influence in their life. We're trying to help them out. The Cauliflower Alley Club, a nonprofit organization that gives back to the boys. And again, your friend John Layfield, my good friend John Layfield, is Beyond Rugby Bermuda. The work he's done in Bermuda for those kids is tremendous.
It's it's wonderful what he's doing, and he's so vibrant about doing it, that it's almost just become a part of his life, and I really, really, man, can't say enough about him, what he's done down there. I mean, it's really making a big difference in a lot of the kids' lives down there.
I mean, you were the best man at John's wedding. I mean, if you wouldn't mind, speak for a minute about, I know I have, just that not only they call it Beyond Rugby Bermuda, this goes far beyond sports, what he's doing. He's providing these kids with lunches, educational activities, sports activities. I mean, he's doing a hell of a lot down in Bermuda.
He's doing more than that. What he's doing is giving them an outlook on life, and that is what far more valuable than anything. Giving them hope, man. That's what that is more valuable than anything you can give them materialize, And it's sad that the resources there in Bermuda and the people that have that doesn't do enough there for the kids, and it takes someone from the outside to come in and step up to do these things for them. But it doesn't matter where it comes from. What matters is that someone's doing it, and John is doing a great job with them. And I hear when he speaks of it, I can see the passion in his voice and in his face when he talks about it. And that the thing that's so wonderful is to see some of the kids come out of what he's doing and from some of his teachings and go on to want to better themselves. That's the thing that makes a difference. That's what it's all about.
Well, I have a lot of respect for John Layfield. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time now. Despite his issues with John Cena Sr. here in the MWF. Again, that's a different story for a different time. But, Ron, we're running out of time tonight. Again, it is MWF Cares Night as we give back to the community. If tonight's a success, we want to try and do something again around Christmas time to help out the little kids that Santa Claus has a hard time reaching for his scheduling, so to speak. But great thing all around to help these charities. But Kamala is the one that is near and dear to our heart, to say the least.
Absolutely, man, and all of the organizations that you spoke of, are worthy of doing things for, and I look forward to being a part of it all.
Absolutely. You hear so much negativity about wrestling, all the people, the non-fans that look down at us, but again, there's a lot of good, productive things that the professional wrestling community can do, and it's certainly something we're going to continue to do in the MWF as we have in the past, whether it was for Bushwhacker Butch, when he nearly passed away due to a staph infection, Superstar Billy Graham, before he got his transplant. We love to give back to those that are part of the brotherhood as well as these nonprofits. They need it.
Absolutely. And like you said, there are a lot of people that might have a negative outlook when it comes to professional wrestling, but I'm sure that the positive people out there, that outweighs the negative, and this is the opportunity for the people to step forward. And like I said, they have been there for me in the past, and I'm sure that they're going to step up and show not only Kamala, but to the rest of the world that we're somebody to be reckoned with.
Amen on that, Ron. Well, we're running out of time here. We have got so much going on tonight here with this cyber telethon, so to speak. We're going to take a brief time out. We'll be back with more MWF Cares Day. Again, we're not asking you for a financial donation, so to speak. We're asking you to buy and bid on some tremendous items, T-shirts, autographed pictures, WWE pay-per-view chairs. We got it all. Add it to your collection and help all these great causes. Thank you, Ron, for joining us on this special night.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back after this brief timeout.